Pennsylvania's state system of higher education. 14 universities, infinite opportunities.
Hello, I'm Frank Brogan, Chancellor of the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, and welcome to another installment of Infinite Opportunities. This is our system's opportunity to talk to you, the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, about our 14 wonderful universities, 100,000 students, great faculty, staff, and administration, doing wonderful things each and every day to make our state a better place for all of us in which to live. Our topic today is interesting because it is the topic of leadership, but not just from a general perspective, through the eyes of our students. Our campuses are large and very active places and not only require great leadership at the top, but also require great student leaders to help make certain that our students are exposed to a wonderful higher education opportunity. We have 3 students from our system who have joined us today, and I'd like to take the chance to introduce them to you now. To my right is Peter Faziani. Peter is a PhD candidate, a student at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Welcome, Peter. To my immediate left, Logan Steigerwalt is a senior, a dual major in marketing and finance at Slippery Rock University. Welcome, Logan. And also with us today, Julia Snyder. Julia is a senior graduating in May, and she holds a major in Spanish education and special education at Kutztown University. Welcome to the 3 of you. And as I mentioned, not only is our topic leadership today, but you are all, by definition, leaders at your institutions, and we very much value the service that you provide to our students in that regard. I'm going to first turn my attention to Peter and say first this. Leadership has books and books and books that have been written on the subject. You could fill a room with the books that have been written on leadership, but you've chosen to be a student leader. Can you tell us a little bit about what role you fill in that regard, Peter?
At Indiana University of Pennsylvania, I'm the Graduate Student Assembly President, which is an interesting position for me to be in because this is really the first academic leadership role that I've taken since early high school. So it's an interesting thing for me to be part of.
So you were in leadership for some time in high school.
Yes.
And then in undergraduate education, passed on the leadership role, and now as a graduate student, you're back in a leadership capacity at
Yes.
Indiana University. Wonderful. And let's turn to you, Logan. And again, I always marvel at our students. Not only do they carry a full load of courses, oftentimes they work, and then are student leaders and carry that responsibility and sometimes that burden along with that title at the same time. I've had the chance to work with Logan on several occasions and have always been very impressed with his passion for his student body. And I must give you credit, the student body in general throughout our system. Tell us a little bit, Logan, about exactly what you do in your leadership capacity. It's very impressive.
Thank you. So I'm very fortunate enough to be the student government president at Slippery Rock University. I got that title when I was a junior, and I ran again as a senior to get reelected. But also in the summer between my junior and senior year, I was elected as the PASHE State System of Student Government president. So that was really neat to get.
So you are the president of the presidents of student government.
Yep. With that, I love the role. It's neat to see myself work as Slippery Rock University president, and then as a PASHE as a whole, representing over 100,000 students. It's really neat, and I enjoy it a lot.
How do you maintain that balance of time and commitment to your leadership roles?
It definitely is a seesaw back and forth. You have to place your needs definitely in the front. You need to make sure you're okay first before you can help everyone else out. But there's a lot of time in the office for sure.
I can imagine, because we are a big system with 100,000 students, and the ability not only to navigate just your leadership role at Slippery Rock, but also work very closely with all 13 other universities is an extraordinary commitment on your part. Commend you for it.
Thank you.
Hey, Julia, you are going to graduate in May. Got that dual major. Woohoo! But at the same time, you're a student leader.
Yes.
Tell us what you do.
I go to Kutztown University, and I'm very involved around campus. I am the president of the Organization for Latino Awareness, being a Spanish major. I'm also a presidential ambassador, and I am the field hockey team representative in the Student Athletic Advisory Committee. So I have a variety of different roles, which is kind of neat because it's very diverse. I'm learning a lot. Presidential ambassadors allows me to interact with alumni, which is really neat to hear their stories and how they're successful. And then being the athletic representative for field hockey, we do a lot of community service, and I just relay that information back to the team. And then as well as being the president of a club that raises awareness, it's really neat. The people I meet and the organizations I get to interact with are also really eye-opening.
And of course, our system has some of the best field hockey played in the United
Yep.
States, right here in Pennsylvania in
Yes,
our
we do.
system. But again, an amazing balancing act that all three of you have put together. The time that it takes to be a graduate student, which is extraordinary in its own right, and then a full slate of classes for undergraduate students. And other outside activities to bring that leadership to the table says an awful lot about the three of you, and we're glad you joined us today. You know, this is a good place to take a quick out and visit one of our universities and see how they're addressing the issue of student leadership. So let's go to Mansfield University and talk student leadership there.
My name's Vince Nance. I am from the Mansfield area, and I've been traveling the world and have done a bunch of things over the last 17 years, and now I've come back to the area. I own a business in Mansfield, a jiu-jitsu gym and fitness center. I founded a waffle company, Anarchy Waffles, to make waffles and educate people and young parents about gluten-free cooking and dairy-free cooking for hyperallergenic kids. I attend Mansfield in the Organizational Leadership Master's Program. I launched Mansfield University Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Club last year, and I teach self-defense for charity. I've actually had a lot of great experiences with leadership this past year and a half being at Mansfield University, and one of the biggest things that I've learned is like how to interact with people that are significantly younger than me and how to really try to bring out the best in them. I think that a lot of like what we do is we try to like, whether it's our children or like whether it's young people or people that work for us, we try to make them into us. And I think that a huge part of being a good leader is letting people be the best version of themselves. I really try to start with the question of like, how can I bring value to your existence? And going from there. That's the starting point. Our success is tied inextricably to the success of others, whether it's people on our team, people in our community, people in our company or organization. When we bring value to others, we bring value to ourselves. The two cannot be disconnected. And then I think when other people in a leadership capacity, when they see you doing that, and they see that your success is rooted in benefiting others, and they, whether selfishly or altruistically, they look at you and go, oh, okay, this is the path. And they say, all right, let's all be that person. Let's try to be that, step into that frame more. It's like Abraham Lincoln said, when I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion, And when you get hooked on that, when you get addicted to like making people's lives awesome, that is a really neat thing. And that sort of takes over your life. Like it took over mine. Really at Mansfield, the thing I like about it is that it's so, I don't want to say small, because it's not. It's a good sized organization, but it's just so connected.
Invest in me.
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 I'll be your future public servant.
I'll be your future advertising executive.
I'll be your future accountant.
I will be your future motivational speaker.
I'll be your future lawmaker.
I will be your future teacher.
Invest in me. I'll be your future videographer.
Welcome back to Infinite Opportunities. And today's panel is very, very special. We have 3 of our own students with us today to talk about the issue of leadership. We brought together Peter Faziani, who is a PhD candidate student at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, Logan Steigerwalt, a senior dual major in marketing and finance, Slippery Rock University, and Julia Snyder, a senior dual major in Spanish education and special education at Kutztown University. And welcome back. We're delighted to have all 3 of you. We've been talking a little bit about some of your personal leadership experiences, not only at your university, but prior to. And during the break, we were talking about the fact that there have been books after book after book written on the issue of leadership. 12 steps to leadership, 5 major leadership characteristics. You could fill the National Archives with everything that's been written and done on leadership. But I was really interested in your perspective and your take on the issue of leadership. What characteristics do you believe it takes? Did you look at people along the way who were leaders and when? So how you came to leadership and what you believe today are still very important characteristics that a good leader has to have. Mm-hmm. So Logan, why don't we start with you?
Yep. I feel like one of the most important leadership characteristics would be how approachable you are. If you're approachable, people will feel comfortable talking to you about issues, come to you with things that they would like to see move forward, and just feel welcomed to come up to you about anything, because I feel like if you're leading an organization and people you help don't feel comfortable talking to you, then important issues can't really get brought up. So that was something that I feel like I've really worked on this year as compared to last year as president of the Student Government Association, of just approachableness. And I feel like it's definitely carried huge benefits for our organization as a whole. When people come up to me and ask questions, they feel comfortable bringing up issues that might not always be the most comfortable to talk about, and which is good, because if no crucial conversations happen, then you can't really move forward in a positive way that really benefits the most people.
So it's that feeling of connection that you want people to have, that you are one of them, and therefore understand their issues, their problems, and their concerns as students, and better than able to help solve those. So it's a great answer. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Julia, how about you? Characteristics that you think are important in a leader at a university?
I first have to go with integrity. I think it's important. I remember learning in high school the importance of it and the definition, doing what is right when no one else is looking. And I think it's not always the easiest thing to do, but you need to do what is right in your heart. And for the organization that you're representing, I think it's important. Kind of going off of that, I think passion is important too, and being selfless. Again, might not always be the easiest decision, but you need to think about what's best for the group and maybe not always what's best for you. And I think that's important as a leader.
Well, well said, because oftentimes that issue of passion is overlooked, but people need to recognize in their leader that leader is passionate about that which they are leading. And I think that passion then translates to other people who think, if my leader feels that passionately about it, I should too.
Right.
It's important that I feel passionate about it. So I appreciate that very, very much. And Peter, characteristics that you think are important in the world of leadership?
Well, it seems to me that perhaps the most important, at least as I see it, is awareness. And what I mean by awareness there is awareness of what needs to be done, but also of the voices of the people that you represent in a lot of ways. Too many times, a leader can get caught up in and not so much what they think is best, but not what they should be listening to in terms of the people they represent. And that's something that's always at the front of my role as a leader, is what do I need to get done, and how do I need to do it to best represent the people there.
Our universities are so large and so complex and so diverse in terms of the thousands of students who pour onto those campuses every day, traditional students, non-traditional students. It's really an amazing energy that takes over at a university and on a university campus. But trying to be the leader for all of that must be an extraordinary challenge every single day, especially today, nationally, when there are so many new issues that are bubbling up to the surface on campus. campuses all over the country today. To be an important leader, I think, says even more about leaders today than perhaps even in the past. Do you find that, Logan?
Oh yes, very much so. Some issues that I may not face personally, but others do, I must be their voice as well. Being the student president, I need to make sure that everyone feels as though they do have a voice, which they do. So they need to find the right channels to bring that voice up to concern, so that no matter how small the voice, if it's one out of our 8,500 students, it's loud and heard. So I just like to take that upon myself to be the best advocate for them. And I feel like, especially in these climates that you've just described, it's definitely important right now.
A large university at Kutztown, Julia, and a very diverse population of students, socioeconomically, ethnically, racially. It must be an extraordinary thing to oversee every day as a student leader, is it not?
Yeah, it's very neat. Like I mentioned earlier, I am the president of the Organization for Latino Awareness, and so I have lots of experiences that are very diverse and very eye-opening there. And kind of like what Logan said, you have to be their voice, even though I may not experience the challenges that they're facing, but I have to be empathetic and understand where they're coming from, and be their voice. So it's a humbling role to have, to be the president of such an organization. But it is really neat.
And one of the things that must be tough for a graduate student, especially knowing the schedule a graduate student keeps, is maintaining that connection we talked about with all of those thousands of undergraduate students, because your life is a little bit different now as a graduate student, Peter, I would think, and therefore maintaining that connection. You have sort of been there, done that on the undergraduate side. Maintaining that balance must be quite interesting.
One problem that we have at IUP is a sense of community in a real way. Not so much that there's not a lot going on, but that graduate students tend to stick within their own fields a lot. So that's something that I've very much dedicated myself to, and this bringing people together to understand that, hey, yeah, I'm limited to the work I do in my own building, and I may only go into one or two buildings on the entire campus, but we're still here doing these things together, and we all have that voice that needs to kind of really be heard, because graduate students are a major part of any school population too.
And that is part of that diversity that we have. It's not only the stereotypical diversity, it's what brings each student to the university, where they're chasing a baccalaureate degree, a master's degree, a doctoral degree, and trying to make sure that while they're chasing that degree, they're part of the university experience. Because we all leave, trust me, I did, a university with two opportunities that have been presented to us. The obvious academic opportunity to leave with a diploma that can translate into the rest of my life, but also the experiential side of the university, to be able to be fully engaged and involved in a university, and that takes real leadership. Let's take another visit. Let's go out to Cheyney University and see how Cheyney University deals with the issue of these great student leaders.
When I graduate, I want to first get my PhD, and my dream job is to work for NASA. I want to be right there, hands-on, in their headquarters, just working and being a software engineer. Like, that's my goal, is to work for NASA.
Anitra is the type of leader that every professional in higher education wants to work with. She's dedicated, she's committed. Her personality is such that she's always looking for an opportunity. She's not the kind of person that sits back and says, oh, I'll see what comes my way. She seeks out opportunities.
If I didn't choose Cheyney, I would not have had any of the opportunities that I had. Cheyney is a good choice for anyone to choose, because you're not just a number, it's family oriented. Everyone knows your name, everyone knows you. You get to be on a first name basis with everybody on your campus. I love the fact that it's also an HBCU and it's PASHE, so you get the best of both worlds. And HBCU is a historically Black college or university. As a White House HBCU All-Star, we're a liaison between our university and the U.S. Department of Education. The fact that I was chosen as an HBCU All-Star, first, I was shocked. I had no idea that I won. I was in disbelief, I was amazed. I cried a little bit out of joy.
First, she's a member of the Keystone Honors Academy. She was also named this year's White House HBCU All-Star. She's our current Miss Cheyney, and she was recognized on the House floor by one of the representatives of the state.
Okay, so when I was recognized at the House floor, it was because I was honored for my accomplishments as Miss Cheyney, as being the only HBCU All-Star in the state of Pennsylvania. as well as for my National Honor Societies I'm a part on Cheyney's campus, some of the different community service outreach programs that I do, and as well as all the Keystone student government things that I did as well.
It's hard enough being a student athlete alone. Meanwhile, being Anitra, she does 3 different sports. She does cross country, she does indoor track, she does outdoor track, she did tennis.
One of the things that I'm really impressed by with her is how she can juggle all of the different things that she's tasked with. Anitra is never without her planner, never without her phone. She carries Post-it notes around to keep track of everything that she does, and she also uses the resources that are available to her. So when she gets a little overwhelmed, she'll come into my office and say, "Ms. Rayfield, I'm overwhelmed, help me." And we'll sit down and we'll prioritize again what needs to happen.
Anitra is a prime example of what you would call a leader. We use her with recruiting. She is our tour guide. She's the team mom. Everyone goes to her with their problems. She helps everybody on the track with drills and pretty much helps everybody, including us as coaches.
Some of the freshmen on my team are like, "Anitra, you just inspire me, you help me." Or when they're down, people tell me all the time that I just made them have a good day. So stuff like that is what makes me feel like I'm a leader, because it makes me think that I am making a difference in someone else's life.
If anyone's looking at an example or looking for an example of a leader, look to Anitra, but then look in yourself.
In 1934, 22 people started a financial cooperative. PSECU was born out of necessity, out of a need to provide service to people who needed it most. Since 2000, we've been forging strong relationships with educational partners across Pennsylvania, making strategic investments that benefit all members, including students, faculty, and staff, and alumni at over 20 university and college locations across Pennsylvania. Learn more about what we offer students at psecu.com/students.
Welcome back to this segment of Infinite Opportunities. And we're wrapping up by talking to our 3 great panelists today, wonderful students from 3 of our universities who hold student leadership roles at those universities. A very important part of student life is being able to look to important student leaders for some of the experiences that they have and direction in terms of how they can move successfully through the university experience. So we're going to go right to this last segment, and I suppose my question to each of you looks a little like this. We had talked about the incredible demands of schedule of being just a student and carrying a load of courses, as well as some of the groups, clubs, and activities you all belong to. You get to do that as students too, but then also being a student leader. Many of our viewers are probably wondering how anybody can juggle that kind of a schedule, but what are the demands placed on you in a typical day or week beyond just being a regular student at your institution? And Logan, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
All right. Well, I feel like I'm always on the clock. Something's always going to happen. Something's always going to pop up on your phone. I feel like I'm glued to my phone every day. But I'd say about 4 or 5 hours in the office every day. Just to make sure people know I'm there. There's a presence there that I'm always there to ask questions and address any concerns, or even receive any positive feedback that the students give. That's always fun to hear. But we always try to make sure that we have accurate representation across the whole campus. We have over 35 senators across in all of our residence halls, addressing commuter senator needs and graduate senator needs as well. So we really want to dive in there to the students, because concerns aren't always brought up to us, but if we are able to go out and find them, that'll just be great for us to really address their needs as a whole. But it does require a lot of time. Sometimes I do forget I'm a student, and then those tests come around that you're really not ready for. But no, I really enjoy the experience. I feel like if I wasn't in this role, I'd have too much time on my hands.
And in your role, as we mentioned earlier, the president of the presidents, because you were elected among the presidents of student government from around the system to lead the system in that regard, you also have responsibilities in coordinating that effort as well, yes?
Yes, we try to have a monthly call. So every month we'll have a call with all the presidents. We also have what we call a group me, and in that we're able to bring up needs right when they happen. So we'll probably have about 3 or 4 different issues we talk about per month just in that. So overall, we always have a line of communication between the presidents. Something that's happening, for example, at Kutztown, they may ask a question of me, what's happening at Slippery Rock, and we can have honestly 14 different directions and opportunities of how that can be addressed. So that's really neat, and I do enjoy coordinating that as well.
It's quite a schedule.
It is. Very
and
busy.
Julia, when you're not working hard to become the NCAA highlight player in the world of field hockey at Kutztown University, tell us a little bit about some of the demands placed on you.
So I go to class every day, like everyone else, and then usually spend about 2.5 hours to 3 hours playing field hockey, and then as far as student organizations go, most of that work happens from home. As far as the Spanish organization that I am president of, a lot of that is just reaching out, making phone calls, sending emails to bring organizations to Kutztown. We had a salsa club come. We have different events that we hold on campus, so a lot of that just happens from my home. And then as far as presidential ambassadors go, we have certain requirements that we have to meet. So we have to do 3 events per semester, which may sound like a lot, but it's not, and it's all volunteering. So I have a ladies' tea coming up, which is alumni from Kutztown come, and we have like a little tea party with them. And our big event in the spring is called Dinner with Golden Bears, and those are graduates from Kutztown, alumni from Kutztown that come back, and students are able to have dinner with the alumni and interact with them and hear about their success stories. So just being a presidential ambassador, a lot of it just comes from setting the example on campus. So whenever I'm wearing the presidential ambassador polo or the gear, just kind of setting that example and then making sure that I'm interacting appropriately with the alumni as well as the student body.
Oh, I know how important those ambassadors are at our universities. They quietly and oftentimes behind the scenes serve such an important purpose and make people feel welcome at the university at the same time. Peter, we have talked about your role, and we've talked about the fact again that you are a full-time graduate student, which is a remarkable accomplishment to be able to make that balance. One of the things I have found about leadership is visibility. People like to see their leaders, and it's hard when you are locked into these very rigorous roles and challenges to also at the same time try to be transparent and open to your constituents. How do you master a thing like that with your schedule?
Well, fortunately or perhaps unfortunately, I'm not in classes anymore, so all of my work is done in terms of reading, developing my lists for my comprehensive exams, things like that. So there's a little bit of flexibility, but that doesn't mean that I have any free time, because while the GSA at IUP, we meet monthly twice, and a lot of my time goes into being in my office preparing for those meetings, developing the agendas, contacting the members, and make sure things that are prepared for those things. We also have events all the time, like right now we have a food drive. So those cans have to be collected. I manage my time by being able to delegate to my executive board, and I'm very lucky to have a very strong and willing executive board in terms of that, because they're so willing to help take on those roles, fill seats in university senate positions and things like that.
And they'll be glad to hear that you noted that on television on their behalf. You just make points with your executive board. I wish we had more time to spend with the three of you. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service to our students throughout the course of the system, their 4-year universities and our entire system. You're very special people. Second, let me say your futures are incredibly bright. You are going to serve this state, this country, and this world very well when you take all of these skill sets out there into the future, and we wish you well in that regard. To our viewers today, thank you for joining us on another installment of Infinite Opportunities. I'm Frank Brogan. Join us again, please.
Come back next week to learn more of the infinite opportunities at the state system's 14 universities, or visit us online